Hi, I'm Mike Von Hatten. Today I'm going to show you how to build a computer out of parts you can buy at any computer store. Most of you probably buy your pre-made computers at Best Buy, Circuit City, stores like that. And today you'll find out you can save a lot of money when you build your own computer. Alright, so the first component, probably the most important, is the processor. And there's two major brands, AMD, which is what we have here, and Intel. This is the brain of the computer and handles all the tasks that you run in Windows. Now, probably the second most important thing in a computer is the main board or motherboard. This holds the processor, the brain of the computer. This is where you hook up all your USB devices, your audio, your video. And then what you can see is there's actually slots on this where cards like video cards or TV tuner cards can go. And then there's also slots for your memory and slots for your hard drives. Alright, so now that you know the major components, I'm going to show you how to put those together real quick. Now based on your processor, there's going to be different ways to insert it, but for this one, all you got to do is lift this lever and orient it with this arrow and that arrow, and then it just drops right in. Close the lever. It's as easy as that, and then your brain's in. And then this is what they call a heatsink. This keeps it cool. All you got to do with that is take some grease. This comes, usually it comes on the heatsink, so you don't have to worry about this step. Just put a little dab. You don't want to put too much. Take it, put it on there, just like that. Alright, so now that you got the processor and the heatsink on the motherboard, you're ready to put it in the case. Now you want to make sure all these ports are facing the back of the case where this big hole is. Then all you got to do is slide it in gently. Just like that. Alright, so you can probably tell this is a different case and a different set of components, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to point out what changed since the last shot. We put in a power supply, and this basically just has a mess of cables, and I'll show you where all those go later on. And then each individual case is going to have its own set of cables for the front ports. So you got your USB, your audio, and then also don't forget your power button. And I'm going to show you these cables right here, this mess of cables. These control the lights in the front and the power switches. Now, you're going to want to look at that mess of cables that comes off your case, and there's going to be writing on them, on each of them. And if you're lucky enough to have one of these white things that comes with your motherboard, you just match up the lettering. You just plug them right in like that. So fast forward a little bit, I've got all the wires coming from the front of the case plugged into this little white block. You're going to want to match this block to the pins on your motherboard, and it's going to be color coordinated if you can see that. Alright, so now that you got those really important cables hooked up, before you make any more clutter with the power supply, you want to put in your RAM. And each motherboard has a certain type of RAM. You'll have to match the number with your motherboard. I'm going to show you how to do that. There's a single slot. Some of them have two slots, so you want to make sure to look out for that. You want to line up the slots. Gently press with your thumbs on either end until you hear a snap. Alright, now we're going to hook up all the cables from the power supply to the various components inside the case. First one you want to start out with is this 20 plus 4 pin. Alright, you want to find the biggest cord coming from the power supply and plug it right into the biggest slot on your motherboard. Just like that. Now you got to put your hard drive in, and you're going to plug the power in. Again, this comes from the power supply. You're going to plug in your SATA cable, which goes to the motherboard. You want to take the SATA cable, plug it right into the SATA port on the motherboard. Now that you got everything in there, time to close the case up and plug all the cords in. So you got everything hooked up, all you got to do is hit the power button. If all goes well, you should see something on the screen.